there. Welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits. Coming to you from the Recycle Garage in sunny Santa Cruz, California.
I've got coffee in my mouth.
Hey, everyone. This is Liza. It's been a while since we've been here in the studio. We've been doing so many of these other, episodes. This is our big 3 weeks in a row of doing stuff. It was nice to have a Saturday to do laundry and catch up on life. Yeah. But a question was brought on to me that I think is a relevant question.
Relevant.
And so I want to kind of let everybody know ahead of time that this is the death episode. This is your warning. This is an episode we're going to talk about things a lot of people don't talk about. So if this is a sensitive subject for you and you don't want to hear it, just wanted to give you the heads up.
Trigger warning, as they say.
Trigger warning. So let's get to who is here with us.
Whom?
In the studio. Being roped into this last minute as a fill-in for Stumpy John, it's Patrick.
Well, hello there.
Stunt Misfit Patrick.
Hello, Patrick.
You can't call him Stumpy, that's for sure.
No. On the classy girl couch, all to herself, especially hoarding the snacks, it's Miss Emma.
They're very good snacks. Thank you, Jim. They're toffee pieces, and they've got this crumbly stuff on the outside. It's probably cat litter. It's what it looks like.
Kitty Roca.
Yeah, it's Kitty Roca.
Yes,
no, they taste very, very good. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and everyone who wanted to be a mama and never got the opportunity. So it's your day too.
Okay, except when this episode comes out, it won't be Mother's Day, and it will be the death episode, which is why I wasn't going to say
Well,
that.
no, but we are recording it on Mother's Day, and that will be a good way of people to know how fresh these recordings are. It's hard to believe. I think all of our listeners realise that we record these on Sunday and you release them on Monday.
I actually release it Sunday night.
Right,
yeah.
Right. But that's Monday on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
But there may be one or two people who don't realise that.
Quick turnaround, which also happens to be the college nickname for Naked Jim. Why'd they call you Quick Turnaround?
Yeah, they like a turnstile. That's how I roll, son. No, and then just take it. I sleep. Really, is what it means. Hey, what's happening? Glad to be here. Yeah. Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day, and then to all the other people where Mother's Day may not be a holiday greeting card. Much respect and love to those people as well. It's one of those funky days, man. Anyway,
yeah.
Peace, love, and motorcycle.
My mom hates it because it is a Hallmark holiday.
It is a Hallmark holiday.
Yes.
Capitalist swine.
Exactly, basically. I have not spoken to her today. That is her wish. On her birthday and on Mother's Day to
That's
ignore
your
her.
mother's everyday wish that you don't speak to her.
You're probably tempted to go over there and say something to her, aren't you?
But I bet you I know who did call their mother today. Bagel.
I did, indeed.
Yeah, because he's the nicest guy.
Yeah. And greetings from a very, very warm Oregon. It's like 93 degrees here right now.
Really?
What? I was told by an Oregonian that Portland broke all heat records today.
Oh, wow.
Yes, apparently it's very, very warm up there. And, it reminded me of the thing I miss the most. I was tooling around on that XS11 of mine around downtown.
You're keeping it, aren't you?
God, I am.
Yeah.
I'm falling in love with it. But I was tooling around Portland like 11 o'clock at night on it. And it was warm. It was still warm. Oh, God, it was so nice. Because in California, sun goes down, temperature goes down.
Well, not all of California, just the coast.
No, just the coast. But
I had this movie moment, like one of those movies, Sin City, with Emma prowling the streets late at night, 1 a.m. on her.
On the XS11, not in coastal California, because it'd be too cold. I'd be tucked up in bed with my cat.
Imagine that the soundtrack to that ride was written by Jan Hammer, right? Is that Jan's Hammer?
Oh, yes.
Jan Hammer.
Yeah. I can just imagine that. Ding, 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 ding. So let's get to the subject. I know we're being all light and fun. And we've actually been throwing this around for a couple weeks and just kind of bouncing off people because this is a hard topic to discuss. And there's a lot of things to discuss.
Well, it's broad.
And full disclosure, Liza, I still don't know how well I'll get through this, but I'll do my best.
I appreciate it. I did give everyone fair warning. But it starts with, there was a question I was asked that I want to pose to everyone here. Because when I've been asking people in the garage, I was getting different responses. And a friend of mine, their dad happened to pass in a motorcycle accident.
Right.
And he got that bike fixed up and he's continued riding it. And now he's thinking of selling it. And his question was, would somebody buy a bike that somebody died on? And do you need to disclose that? And I can tell you my personal opinion is I would feel proud to take a bike somebody died on and to, carry that candle for them and to keep going and live, having that bike who is a part of them continue on. That's my take on it.
I think the disclosing part, that's kind of a sticky situation because, if you know the person that you're selling to, it may be worth to disclose that. Otherwise, I don't know how you would approach that, though. But, for me personally, I would happily ride a bike like that personally because it's I think that, what better way to honor that person, too, of, take on that bike, continue riding it the way it was meant to be ridden, versus just letting it sit to waste in a garage somewhere or in some weird, unfortunate situations where people want to be buried with their bikes. It's that's kind of a weird thing to be buried with, too. The bike should be ridden the way it was intended to be.
And I'll be the other side of that coin. I wouldn't. I could never ride a bike that somebody died on. I think the broader picture, though, is if you should disclose that a bike's been crashed at some stage.
For sure, yeah.
To prospective buyer. I mean, especially if they have no knowledge of the bike at all, and they're looking at this immaculate bike, and you say, I think the most important thing for them would say, look, this bike has been crashed and repaired.
That's very fair. That's very fair.
Right. Yeah. No, I think you should always disclose, it's been through an accident and restored.
Because, everyone says, oh, yeah, well, has it got a clear title?
Right.
But that's not always reflected on its history. A lot of times you can wad a bike and do a significant amount of damage to it and be completely underinsured and just kind of repair it yourself. And, as far as the pink slip goes, just regular bike. And I think you should disclose that.
Well, back to what we originally started with, would you ride it? And Emma, I'm curious, I want two things. I'm curious why you said you wouldn't. And I got something after that. But why, if you don't mind sharing, what's your hesitation or your rule for not riding a bike someone has passed on?
No, I mean, I'm the first to admit I'm really quite a superstitious person, and I think as motorcyclists we are engaging in an inherently dangerous pursuit, and this is a known risk we take, and it's a known risk we accept. That said, I like to stack the odds in my favor. And I don't know. I think the thought of somebody riding the bike, enjoying it and loving it as I do, and then dying on it would just not sit well for me. Yeah. Owning that same bike. And I think that's more of a reflection on my relationship with bikes. I mean, here's a question for you. Knowing how much I love Rufus, if I died on Rufus, I don't think anybody at here would want that bike. As good a bike as it is, I don't think anyone here would want it, knowing my relationship with it.
I would.
Well, the alternative would be you sell it to someone that we don't know.
If anything, it would be even more reason that one of us would want
to keep the legacy alive.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose.
Exactly.
Well, I think what else?
I think it's just a different way. I'm not suggesting for a moment that I'm right and you're all wrong. It's a very, very personal decision.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think one thing that plays into it, because if all this I'm with you on superstition. And if it does exist, then, it does. Be aware of it. But I think there could be degrees as well. Like, let's say there's a bike that something, bad happened with. Like, what was the person, Liza, where he was going fast down the neighborhood and the person stepped in front?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Right. And
was that Tim?
That was my cousin's friend. We did.
So,
I don't think we said his name.
Did he die or the person he hit?
The person he hit.
Died. Okay, well, say that, for example. Say he had passed in
A
that
bike
situation.
killed somebody, which is different than the rider.
Yeah, but say, would you want that bike? Like, would you be like, doesn't matter to me? I'll still...
I don't blame the bike.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think,
And that's how I am too, is like, if it's not the bike's fault, it was just accident or bad luck or what have you, or just the person died for some other reason on the bike. Like, it's not necessarily the bike's fault, and the bike should still be honored in that way too, and that person's legacy as well by continuing to ride.
So let me ask you this. Do you believe that a bike could carry a curse?
Oh, no. No, it's nothing like that.
I would say trust your gut instinct. If you were going to buy a bike that was involved in like a fatality and you got up to it and it kind of gave you a funky vibe, I would step away from it. I don't know.
Well,
I'm superstitious. Ships are like that.
Emma, you and I have been around a long time.
Yes.
It doesn't really exist here anymore.
I'm only 29, darling.
There was a time that we would go to motorcycle junkyards.
Yes.
Go out in the yard and go fishing through, see what you find.
Right.
And you would have bikes that recently came in with crushed front ends. There might be blood on them.
Right.
And often I would wonder, I wonder if somebody died on this one. This looked bad. You didn't know. You don't know. But I don't remember ever having an issue taking parts off of it. I mean, that was just a common thing.
Yeah.
I
mean, it was. And I don't know whether my point of view has changed as I've gotten older. I mean, I've never made a secret. When I grew up, I was pretty damn poor, and I couldn't always afford new parts. So if you couldn't afford new parts, you went off to the junkyard, and you didn't really care where they came from. And yeah, I've seen, and most of the time when a bike ends up in a junkyard, they clean it up to a certain extent. But of course, when you start dismantling it, I vividly remember, I needed some front fork parts for a 550 Suzuki I was tooling around on. And, I was in a junkyard and I was pulling the front end of this part. And in the top triple tree, there were a bunch of human teeth.
Oh my God.
And they were kind of embedded, between the casing for the Speedo and the top triple tree. And, the guy just face planted into it.
Man.
And he...
This is,
So
why,
how
we,
much,
this is why we gave a warning.
How much did you get him to knock off the price? We've seen you negotiate.
The truth is, that particular wrecking yard had multiple 550 Suzuki, so I just went away and did another one, and it rattled me then. And it wasn't really tangible, it's as gruesome as it is, but it rattled me and it unnerved me, and I didn't like the feeling it gave me. And I guess just as I'm getting older now, it's I don't know. It's just something that's kind of always there in the back of my mind.
Well, and that kind of comes to the next question, because all of us here in this room have multiple bikes. Now, the question is, what will happen to your bikes if you die? This, regardless of how you die, just what will happen to your bikes. Now, years ago, like more than a decade ago, I told my mom, because she would have no idea. I said, let Douglas decide. He'll know who should get what. And I realized I never told him. I told him today. I'm like, hey, did you know that my mom has instructions to go through you to decide where all the tools and bikes go? And
he's like, the executor of your will.
I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, I told my mom to go through him. But, I realized, Bagel, you didn't answer the first question, though. Would you ride a bike that somebody died on?
Yeah, I would, as long as it's rideable, and it's not damaged.
Not an issue.
I'm not superstitious about that.
Now, upon your death, what are the instructions? Who has to deal with all your bikes? Who gets what?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you, Bagel.
I've thought about that. I have no idea.
This is an important point I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
This, oops, man down. This is something I think it's important for riders to be prepared for. And in a case of, if I was to die, my family would have to deal with all my stuff, and they'd know what to do with most of it, but they have no idea what to do with my bikes and stuff. And they're not trying to get money off of me. I'd like, just give everything away. So have any of you had that conversation with anyone about where all your stuff goes? Who gets what?
No.
It's like crickets.
Yeah, no, but
and
it's a fair question. I think a lot of people have it.
I think that's the human thing, though, because I don't know, we all think we're invincible or whatever.
Yeah.
So I've actually been going through this with my own parents, because when their parents died, they started realizing, like, we need to get all this stuff in order so that our own kids don't have to deal with this. And yet here I'm on the other end of it, like, I'm the executor of my parents' will, but like, I'm like, that's a good question, because okay, like, I ride bikes. I have a lot of stuff that they don't know anything about what to do with.
Right.
So who deals with that? I mean, there's an assumption that, well, I've got some friends over here that would know what to do with that. But from a legal standpoint, like, they're not involved in that situation at all now.
Well, who gets involved is the state.
Right. The state just takes it.
You go into probate. So,
you don't have a will.
I thought about it. I did the whole, the will and the living trust and all that kind of stuff. So, like 3 years ago I did it, and for all the reasons, right? And it's probably because of what we've talked about it a lot here, and a lot of things to talk about. But one of it is when someone dies. I was around this recently. Not only can it be extremely emotionally devastating and very hard emotionally to deal with, for days or weeks, or longer sometimes, but the business end of death is incredibly a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and expensive.
Even when you have your things sorted out, it's things you don't think about, canceling this subscription or that subscription or a retirement fund payment you may have been doing. And then the transfer of money. So what I'd say, so there's if you want to go into that whole planning, we can, but do it for two reasons. One is, half your shit's going to go to the state. The other is it's going to be a huge burden on the people that you least want to be a burden to during a very difficult time.
And that's why I think it's good to appoint a friend that your family who's responsible for this can lean on for that specific area.
So, I had a very, very interesting conversation with Kathy the day before I left for Italy. Because, I knew I was riding fast bikes through the Dolomites, and it had been a long, long time since I've ridden like that. And when you have a business, the stakes are a little bit higher. And so me and Kathy toddled off to the bank. And we sat down with the bank manager, who's a very, very dear friend of mine, Tina. And I said, so, Tina, we're going to put Kathy on the account right now, which we did. And I said, I want you, Tina, to be aware of my instructions just in case I don't come back from Italy. Kathy is going to come in, and she's going to empty every single account, and whether that amounts to checks or cash or whatever. And I would like your help for her to do that. And she's just going to walk away from it. Take every single penny out of Motortown and just walk away from it. And she was quite happy with that.
Yeah. And if you have joint accounts, that makes it really simple.
And that's exactly what we did. And I put her on the account for that reason. But there were no talk of bikes. So if we dovetail back to the motorcycles, I'm guessing that if I were to shuffle off my mortal coil, the first person Kathy would call is, say, you, and say, well, look, I've got a Super Glide and an RF 900 and a Moto Guzzi V11 and an XS11 and this and this and this and a Goldwing Turbo in the garage. What do I do with them?
Which one do you want me to have?
I don't want you to have any of them.
Whichever one you died on?
Yeah, basically. Well, no, I might have a bloody heart attack. You don't know I'm going to die on a bike.
So I like that idea. I just have a question. Now, someone has to sign the title and all that, right? So you're dead. So someone, I think amongst us, we could forge a title. I think that would work. Unless you go to the DMV and they're like, oh, wait, that person's fucking dead.
No, it goes to the next of kin. You file the death certificate with the DMV, and you get the power of attorney. And there's a legal process.
Well, is it without a will and your trust set up?
Yeah.
Or does that have to go through probate first?
Yeah, it has to go through probate, but there is a system for that.
But right there, that system, A, takes forever, and B, it takes half your money. So don't think of that as like, oh, that it'll work, but it makes things so complicated.
There is a way round it if you trust your spouse, which I'm sure just about if everybody loves their spouse as much as I love Kathy, it's not a problem. And the simple thing is just sign all your pink slips.
Well,
don't date them, just sign them.
And here's an interesting thing. The vampires, they have a group form that they've all filled out. I don't know how it works, but it says that any one of the other vampires can get a bike out of impound. They've given a certain power of attorney to all of the club members to assist each other, because that is something that's happened when somebody hasn't necessarily died, but they're in the hospital and their bike gets impounded. And now that is accruing fees. And I've been on that side where you're trying to get somebody's bike out before it just becomes a possession of the tow lot for non-payment when somebody's in a coma. The system is not set up to help you.
No, it's not. It's set up to take your money.
Which is why it's good to have these conversations and have a plan. Yeah. People don't want to think about death.
And just
it's not the easiest conversation, is it?
No, it's not.
But we're having it now.
But think about when you're the last person to die. Like it's only like you have a partner or you have a family member or that you can leave it to. That's great. But when you're the last person, that's when you want to make it simple so you're not a huge burden on someone, because it is complicated. I would say go to a lawyer. It'll cost you $1,200, and you'll have this peace of mind. They'll you tell what to do with your body. Burn that shit up and put it in a box.
Jim, which one of my bikes do you want?
None of them are really that appealing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, sorry, Liza.
We should do like the grandma's house rule where you just put your name on a sticker on the bottom.
Post-it notes?
Maybe. I don't know.
What about you, Patrick? I mean, you're kind of in a relationship.
Well,
of sorts.
and it's transitioning in a sense too into a more serious relationship.
So what are you going to do about it then?
Well, that's a conversation worth having. Is like, okay, like what happens if either one of us, pass away or whatever, and die, and it's like, okay, these things have to be sorted out. Who's going to have power of attorney? Is it going to be our own nuclear families like our parents, or is it going to be the person I'm in a relationship with?
This is a good conversation for you to be involved in, because you're on that brink right now.
Right.
Because I know you're in a very, very serious committed relationship.
Right. Well, on the brink of also going to another level in that too.
But at the moment, you're basically, you still don't have any legal rights to one another.
Right.
So,
well, the interesting thing about this, and you guys might know, is your family can come visit you depending on the paperwork, right? Mm-hmm. Your partner, unless you're married and all that kind of stuff,
domestic spouse or from a legal standpoint.
Yeah, unless you have paperwork, they may not be able to come visit you in the hospital. I mean, we could parlay this into the whole hospital medical care part of the same document, but there's a lot to consider, yeah.
So I'm going to share a story I probably shouldn't say on the air, but I'm just going to do it anyway. I have a dead guy bike in my garage right now. And that bike was given to me. The family was just cleaning out the yard and was like, just wanted it gone. It had been sitting there for 10 years since this person had died. I don't think they died on it. It just was their bike.
Right.
And then they reached out to a friend who they knew had bikes. And, hey, do you want this? And then he called me, said, hey, there's a free bike. If you want it, go get it. There's no paperwork. The owner died 10 years ago. So I went and got it. And then I checked into the legal system of how to get the paperwork for it. And I went to the DMV and I told them, this guy died 10 years ago. I've now got in my possession. What do I need to do? They said, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to get and this is what they said, you need to get the next of kin, and they need to get the death certificate, and they need to come down to the DMV and file it with the DMV. And then they need to get power of attorney, and then they will get the title signed over to you, over to them, and then they can sign it over to you. And I'm like, well, that's a whole lot of steps that a family doesn't want to deal with for a bike that's worth a couple $100. Has been sitting on the, out in the yard. But I learned a couple things from that conversation. What I learned was the DMV didn't know that he was dead because nobody had filed the death certificate with them about this bike. And so I said, the next thing I asked was, well, because I didn't know who this person was that owned it. So I said, well, can I get the information so that I can contact the family? No. I think a lot of us have been there. You cannot go to the DMV and give the plate number, and they'll give you all the information. So now I'm like, what do I do? Well, again, I learned some more things from that conversation. One of the things I have learned, and Emma, I'm sure you know this, the DMV cannot give you that information. But if you go online to the DMV and fill out a form and send a check for $5, they will give you that information. They'll give you a printout. And this is designed for shops and yards who a bike comes into their possession and they need to file a lien. The first thing you do is you have to request the owner information from the DMV.
So let's talk a little bit about lien sales.
Well, I'll finish the story real quick.
Finish your story.
And so they also don't ask you to provide a business ID or anything. I just said Recycle Garage, submitted it. They sent me a printout with the owner's information. And I learned something else from that his wife was also a co-owner of the bike. So now here's the part I shouldn't say out loud because I broke a law, but I'm going to do it anyway. I used the same theory that I had writing absentee notes in school.
Oh, no.
My mom always wrote my notes. My dad never did. So when it was me writing the note, I signed my dad's name. So every note on file with my dad's name was my signature. And I was betting that she had never signed any of the paperwork at the DMV. So now I had her name. I signed her name onto the bill of sale, went down to the DMV and said, hi, I just bought a bike. And it's plated and in the garage right now.
Can I ask which one it is?
Sure. You want to know?
Yeah.
The Yamaha.
Oh, okay. And
it wasn't like I was stealing. I mean, but I learned that the system is not really set up to be very easy.
And I want to make it clear, there is a huge difference between my reluctance of buying a bike that somebody died on than buying a bike that somebody died who owned the bike. It's a huge difference to me. In fact, Kathy is driving a car that the owner died.
Dead lady car.
So,
it took a while to get that smell out, didn't it?
Oh, God. And that was nothing to do with the smell of death. It's just, she was a nasty old woman. She really was. And chain smoking and it was pretty gruesome, the inside of that car. But I stand by what I said. I'd really, really, really would not like to get involved in a motorcycle that somebody actually died on. Keeping the legacy of the bike alive. And you can call that superstition, you can call it bad juju, whatever.
I tend to fall down with you on that side, unless it was someone I knew that was like someone I considered family, and there was a reason like that. But otherwise, I think I'd have a hard time doing it too. I think I'd have a little, something in the back of my mind all the time.
Well, the next thing I wanted
Can there be a cursed bike?
That's what I said. If two people have died on it, can we agree that that's probably a cursed bike? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe that's when you say, no thanks. Yeah. And we didn't say, do you have to disclose if somebody had died on it? Or I guess you don't have to disclose, but if they ask. You disclose that it's been in a wreck.
Well, where you hear it a lot is, my dad died and he had a bunch of motorcycles. I'm just selling them.
Right.
For whatever.
And that's a completely different situation.
There's a lot of those. Yeah. That's what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
That's a situation where it's very different than.
Oh, absolutely. And if you remember right, that little green Benelli 500 Quattro I had came from Chris Wiggins, who is currently in Colombia riding motorbikes. Lucky guy.
Wow.
six-cylinder Honda come from?
Yes.
Someone that passed away?
Yeah, his grandpa.
That's what it was, yeah.
And of course,
That's
it's
a
a
great
great
example.
But his
great
grandfather
example. that-
left it to him.
Well, Grandpa did not leave a will. And so Grandma was scrambling. And there was a verbal agreement from Grandpa, and Chris, if I'm getting this wrong, please forgive me, but I think there was a verbal agreement from Grandpa that Chris should end up with one of the CBXs. There were 2 or 3 of them. But Chris should end up with this particular one that his grandpa used to drag race. But it was a verbal agreement, and the paperwork on everything was just an absolute hideous mess. And the Benelli, he had to sort out the paperwork from his grandma before he could even bring it down to me.
So back to the Honda. When you were laying hands on it, because you went through it,
Yes.
did you get any feeling like
Ooh.
any nostalgia or superstition?
Well,
Did you-
well, not that he didn't die on it, but that there,
No, I mean, it was a lovely old bike. I mean, when you deal in old
with old
bikes, when you deal in old bikes, the guy who bought the XS11 off might have passed away. I mean, when me and McCarthy went up and bought that bike, which was like 2 years ago now, he was in his 80s and he did not look well at all. And his wife was like, we need to clear out this garage. And he had an amazing garage. I mean, he had Model T Fords in there and Model A's.
But dying of old age, that's a whole nother
Yeah, but it's, and I was going to say, that CBX, I got very nostalgic because it's a friggin' CBX.
Yeah.
What's not to like?
boss.
Bagel, you got any dead guy scooters in there?
Not that I know of.
Well, just hold on there, Bagel. How old is your oldest scooter?
Well, that's a good point.
Heinkel?
The 58 or 57. Well, 57 Parallel actually.
Yeah,
the original owner did pass away. because
dead
the son
There you
inherited it.
go.
There it is.
Yeah,
Just by the
that's
nature of bikes that are, 50, 60 years old. People who bought them new. The guy who bought your Heinkel new. Okay?
Yeah, the 65 probably.
The
is
65.
one too, yeah.
Because that's not a young person's bike.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I have no idea what market that they were going for in the U.S. at that time. So
Right.
who knows?
I can't see a 17, a 15, 16-year-old buying it. So, it might have
You
been a
never
more
know.
mature guy. So I guarantee he's probably shuffled off his model coil.
Yeah,
Bagel?
possibly. And then
Maybe it
the
was
58 Heinkel
espionage
too.
in Cuba.
Oh, it could be.
Bagel,
Cuban spies.
if you die, can I have the blue one down at the end? I think, is that the one with the cannonball bike?
The Cannonball GTS.
Yes. Can I have that one? Oh, yes,
Perhaps.
think about it. So I want to get into now another hard thing to talk about. Because not all accidents cause a death, but maybe they should be. So I'm going to tell a story about 3 different people who had a similar situation. And I've told some of these stories before, but I realize, over 500 episodes, a lot of people haven't gone back 300 episodes ago. So first I'm going to tell the story of Stu's dad and Teddy, which is kind of a lore around here. And my friend Stu, his dad is the one whose bike that he's thinking of selling. That's kind of what started this whole thought process. So the story goes, and Patrick, you haven't heard this whole story. It was a crazy night. It is not uncommon if there's an accident or if a bad accident, and if it's somebody that we know it's involved, I like to go there to try and figure out what happened and try and gather information, right? So I was with one of the vampires. John was here, and it was about 7 o'clock at night, maybe 7. Or by this time, it was like 8, 9 o'clock at night. But the message had gotten through that one of the vampires had been in a bad accident and had been airlifted over to Stanford. And we found out because another one of the vampires was a nurse at Stanford and saw his name coming in, just happened to be, right? And so the word spread. And so first thing we did is we went on the CHP report, and you can see reports of accidents. And we found one right here on Highway 9, which is going up into the hills here, most common road. And that at like 7:10 p.m., a motorcycle collision with rock. That's all we knew, right? So John and I started driving up 9 to try and like look for signs. And sure enough, we did. We found the signs. And it's amazing when paramedics have come, they are, stripping bandages, doing everything. They just leave that trash on the side of the road. Also, the telltale sign you look for are recent scrapes, because most bikes leave a scrape. Emma left a nice scrape down my street at one point.
Oh, Washington Street. Yes, I did.
I think we measured it. It was like 57 feet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So you look for the scrape, and I'm like, so we're trying to figure out, and from the scrapes, you can actually kind of figure out what might have happened. And over on the side of the road, we found a rock about the size of a basketball. And the report was that, I guess, a rock had rolled down the hill, and he was riding at dusk, coming down the road, didn't see it, hit it, and we later found out it bent the front wheel, which caused the front wheel to come to a sudden stop and caused the bike to go down. I think the rear end came up or something. It was like a big road king. It flipped and slammed him down hard. At the time, we didn't know like details, but we were like, wow, he must have hit a rock and crashed. So the next thing we did is we drove over the hill to Stanford. We're fortunate to have a level 1 trauma center here at Stanford. A lot of people that we know get life flighted there, which is another reason we have helicopter insurance. So a lot of the other vampires are starting to gather in the waiting room there. And then I ran into another friend of mine who knew this vampire kind of, but not really well. And I was like, oh, hi to my friend. And, gave her a hug, and she's like, hi. So great to see you. Thank you for coming out. And I'm like, hi. Yeah. I didn't think she knew this guy that well. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Of course I'm here. He's a good friend. And I'm like, how did you find out about it? She goes, oh, well, my husband found out pretty quickly, and everyone told the family. I'm like, her husband? And I'm like, well, how did your husband know Teddy? She goes, huh? What are you talking about? I said, Teddy, you got in an accident. No, I'm here because my husband's dad crashed his Harley on Highway 9. And I'm like, wait, what? Your husband crashed his Harley on Highway 9? She goes, yeah. Isn't that why everyone's here? And I'm like, no, Teddy crashed his bike. I thought he crashed on Highway 9. She's like, no, my husband, his dad hit a rock. But the weirdest thing is we went down the road and we looked and we couldn't find the rock. I said, I think I know why. It's in my car. Because when we were there, I thought when Teddy gets out of this, he's going to want that rock. And I put it in my car. Right? So it was all this confusion. So we're like, wait. So what happened is we realized there were 2 accidents at nearly the same time within like 10 minutes of each other. Both of them, similar injuries, massive broken bones and head injuries, in a coma. And both life flighted on the same floor of the same hospital, sharing the same waiting room. So after all that confusion, it was just weird. It's just weird to have that both. So as family members had to come in, and this is the thing I wanted to bring up. Family members have to make a decision of what to do. And Teddy's parents lived on the East Coast and had to fly in. They didn't get there till the next day. And same with Stu's family. They're local, but they were all coming in, his sisters and stuff. And the question was being asked of the family, what do you want to do? Do you want to pull life support or not? And in both cases, the doctor said, we don't know what the prognosis is. They've had a traumatic brain injury. We don't know if they'll come out or what they would be like when they come out. What do you want to do? And Stu's family, I remember having this conversation with the hospital, and Stu said, my dad has always been very clear. He would be happy to die on his bike. And because he was older, in his 60s at the time, I believe, the family made a decision to pull life support without guilt. It was an easy decision for them. And they did, and that was the end. But Teddy's family said, no, do whatever you can. Teddy was in a coma for a couple months. And the weird thing, comas are not at all like what they are on TV. You don't just wake up. You start to come around. Your eyes start to follow things. You start to speak and move, but you're not forming any memory. He has no memory during that time. It took months until he started really forming memory. Teddy did not die that day, and he did recover, though he lost use of one of his arms. It had too much nerve damage. He broke his arms, his legs in multiple places, his ribs. It was a bad accident. But Teddy didn't die that day, but he did not die 10 years later, and I say from his injuries. How does somebody die 10 years later from a motorcycle accident? Well, Teddy was never really the same again, even though he was Teddy. I mean, he was there, but he wasn't. He had anger issues. He started getting into conspiracy theories, and he was a different person completely. And I don't know why, but I remember 10 years later, this was in 2019, actually Adrian shared this newspaper article that came out. Teddy had moved back east because his parents were helping him out because he couldn't really work. He was going to school and trying to build a life. Teddy walked into a liquor store with a katana, swinging it with his one working arm.
Oh.
And the liquor store owner pulled a gun out and shot him dead. So it made the news. Crazed man comes in a liquor store waving a katana. They gave the name Theodore. And I think for all of us who knew Teddy, we knew that was a result of his TBI.
Right.
Yep.
He died 10 years later. And it was hard. It was really hard. It was hard for everyone. But I think for me, it was also a little bit of a relief that he was free. Now, there's one other person in our community. I don't know personally. This happened, but a lot of our friends, a lot of the vampires, they know him. And this is James. And a lot of us from back in the day remember James. You remember this, Bagel, right?
Mm-hmm.
James was living his dream to race at the Isle of Man. And James was a monkey in a sidecar. And it costs a lot of money to get over to Isle of Man, especially with a bike and sidecar. And they're doing a practice lap, and they got run off to the side and ran into a building. And this is one of the dangers and why this is one of the most dangerous races in the world. And the monkey went straight into the building. James went headfirst into this building. I don't know, 180 miles an hour. I don't know how fast they're going. I really don't know. But he went headfirst, and the driver, flew off and survived. So James, similar situation, traumatic brain injury and many, many broken bones. But sadly, because it was so expensive to go over there, he did not have enough money to buy insurance over there. So the family and friends had to raise $50,000 to get him flown back over here. And it took a couple months to raise the money. Meanwhile, he's getting pretty good care over there in the hospitals, but when you have that many broken bones, you need to get physical therapy if you're going to regain use of your limbs. But somebody who's in a coma can't do physical therapy. So they did get him over. They brought him over, and by that time it was kind of too late to try and get him walking again or anything. He's combative. He's angry. He's still alive today, and this was like 20 years ago. And he now lives in a care facility, bedridden, and he's not able to form new memories. So all he knows is nobody's come to visit him, even though somebody may have come to see him last week or a couple days ago. So because everyone who went to go visit him it was very unpleasant visits because he was just angry and mad. Everyone stopped going. And now he's been living for 20 years in a care facility, bedridden. When you look at these three scenarios that were all similar situations and the family had to make a decision, and I'm not going to say who made a right or wrong decision. I don't think anyone can make that. But the fact that Stu's dad was vocal about his wishes, I think was probably the best thing for him. And of those scenarios, I think that was the best way out. Right? So I think this is something that's important to talk about. Again, people don't want to talk about death, but it was a good thing that he did.
Well, and again, see a lawyer, get the power of attorney that covers your medical, wishes, whether or not to, continue treatment or not. And because I did that with that, I'm fortunate, I got kids and, so Jake is the executor of my thing. And it's not like I have a bunch of money, but the things you do have, A, you want it to go to people that, and not get taken by the government, but B, you also do, if you don't do not resuscitate, you want people to know that, and you want to have, the legal documentation for that. There's a lot of choices that you can give to someone that loves you and knows who you are, and they'll follow through because they can be like, hey, I have the piece of paper that says, pull the plug or give him morphine all day long. I think it's great, right? Because I have a piece of paper that says that. And again, it's just very helpful if you have that, because a lot of times if you don't, unless you're a family member, they won't even let you see the person. So again, the same, I'm just harping on it, but get that stuff in writing. Don't be a burden any more than you have to.
Actually, I don't even think you need an attorney to do it. I think
you don't really.
If you go onto a company like LegalZoom,
yes.
you can do your own for $50. And I have to point out, it's very different for you, Jim, because you have kids.
Well, and we talked about that earlier today, too, is that as you different stages in your life, it changes that decision a lot. Like, let's say someone in their 20s versus their 30s versus their 50s, 60s.
And what about a pair of middle-aged women like me and Liza who are far too immature to have children? But
that is your call. So what is your call? What is your wish right now for you?
That's a really, really good question. I want to make sure that Kathy is taken care of. Well, that's very, very easy because Kathy is co-signer on everything.
No, but I'm talking about pull the plug or do everything you can.
No, absolutely, pull the plug.
Jim, where are you at right now?
Oh, yeah, morphine and pull the plug.
Patrick?
I don't know, honestly, because I'm in that stage of like it really depends on the situation. If there's a hope for recovery, maybe try. But if that prognosis is like, we don't have a clue what's going to happen, but it's probably not going to good, maybe it's time to pull the plug. 35.
No,
and you're still
do
young,
everything you can. You're still young.
I can relate because I was talking.
Because I'll still fight for it. Basically, if I can,
I will too. Because I was telling Jake, I'm like, hey, hon, I don't want to be, in a bed and all that kind of stuff. So if it looks like that, go ahead and pull the plug, and I'm sorry to put you in that position. She's like, oh, no problem. I don't want to see you like that either. And I'm like, well, a couple of compressions won't hurt. You don't have to throw in the towel that fast,
jump to
honey.
that conclusion fast.
Bagel, what about you? Where are you at?
I think that I'd like to have a best effort made to bring me back. But if I'm gone, let me go. If there's like no brain activity, then that's
right. But
kind of the end right there.
But in the case of all these three, they all had the prognosis was we don't know. Mm-hmm. Only time will tell, and that's a decision that a family has to make then. Mm-hmm. And just like you said, I think as you get older, the decision is easier. I felt like when I had my 50th birthday, I kind of felt like I made it. Like I've had a good life. I'm good now. If I die now, I don't feel like it's a loss. Mm-hmm. I've done a lot. I've experienced a lot. I told my parents, like, hey, just so you know, congratulations, you got me to 50. You're done. Like, good job. And I definitely felt that I'm okay now. Like, sure, pull the plug.
Well, I just want to speak back to Patrick's point about like assess the situation. I will say I've got a couple examples in my life recently of very dramatic brain damage incidents, traumatic brain. What do they call it? Injury, TBI.
Yeah.
And they made incredibly remarkable recoveries. Like they were put into an induced coma for 3 or 4 months, and they're like, these people may not open their eyes again. And next thing you know, when I'm driving a car, a year and a half later, so they are making great headway there. So yeah, don't throw in the towel too quick.
Right. Well, and I think when you start looking at, like, for someone my age too, and other people, it's always the same thing. It's like, what are your wishes, and then what are the wishes of your family as well?
Yeah.
Because that starts to complicate that whole scenario. Like.
Yeah, Emma, you might like this. When Teddy was in this coma, and they'll open their eyes and look around, but you don't know if there's any processing or recognition. One thing I did was I printed out a picture of his cat from Facebook, and I printed out a picture of a cat from the internet. And I went and I held them both up with my left hand and my right hand. And I said, which one is your cat? And he kept looking at the picture of his cat. And I said, he's in there. That was the first time I'm like, he's in there. I used a picture of his cat.
Right.
Nice.
Maybe I'll use that on you.
Maybe you will.
So,
But what's very, very important in all these stories,
yeah.
it's not just the living, it's the quality of life you're going to have.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell a story, and it's very, very difficult for me to tell this story.
Are you sure you want to tell it?
I'm gonna tell the story because it's very, very important to illustrate what we're talking about, and I think it's very important for me to tell this story right now.
Okay.
And it's a story about a friend of mine called Ozzy, or we called him Ozzy. And Ozzy left us, God almighty, 44 years ago now. And I vividly remember the night it happened, and he had a 754 when we first met, and he just traded it for a Goldwing. And he was riding on the A38, and he was moving. He always rode quite quickly. And a van turned in front of him. He just T-boned the van. And so they airlifted him out, and he just had the most enormous spinal injuries, just bad injuries to his spine. So they had him face down on the operating table, and they were working on his spine. And what they didn't realize is internal bleeding was so bad, his lungs were filling up with blood, and he drowned. He basically drowned on the operating table. We've, over the years, I've often thought about, okay, if they'd have known and he'd have lived, what would his life have been like? And I think the reality is he'd probably never have walked again, because his spinal injuries were that severe. Mm-hmm. And I think the surgeons were fighting just to keep him alive, because that's the surgeon's job. It's not their job to make decisions of whether you should live or die. It's just their instruction is to keep you alive. And there's no real thought about what your life's going to be after they're done with you. It's like, if a surgeon has two options, and the option one is the patient's going to live, and the option two is the patient's going to die, they're going to take the option where the patient lives and kind of damn the consequences. So, had they known he was drowning in his own blood and he didn't die, so we'd have been faced with this young, dynamic guy in his very early 20s. I don't even think he was 20. We were so lucky because we had access to such big bikes back then, young. And just completely paralyzed from mid-waist down because of massive spinal trauma. And there'd be no hope of ever getting any sensation down there again because it's damage. I mean, it's not like, oh, we're going to come up with a cure for this. I mean, it's just everything's destroyed.
You're describing Wayne Rainey,
right?
Who we saw last weekend, who still has a great quality of life.
But there's a difference. There's a huge difference. And you can distill it down to money and people around you. And I mean, you've got to remember, Ozzy was just a working class guy.
And this was also a much longer time ago, right?
Exactly. It was a long. I mean, it was years before Wayne had his accident. Remember, Wayne is a motorcycle racer, and he was racing for some pretty big guys. He was racing for Marlboro. He was racing for Yamaha. He had access to the best medical care, and Ozzy didn't. He just went to the local NHS hospital, which back then was Good Hope in Sutton Coldfield. And, they did a great job, but, and so it's funny. I still think about him every day. There's not a day goes by because he was such a good friend. But I always remember him as this young, handsome, dynamic guy. And I'm not sure how I would have... That's how he lives in me, and he's still alive in my memory like that. And, I don't know how it would have been if he'd have had to live all these years. Because you're not talking about 1 or 2 years. Talking this happened 44 years ago. And 44 years to live as a paraplegic, or maybe even a quadriplegic, it's a damn long time.
Yeah.
I think this kind of pivots the conversation into another thing about motorcycling is we all have, I think people that love us. And, motorcycling by definition is a high risk activity. Mm-hmm. And, should we pass or become, in a coma, what have you, we're not really aware. If we're dead, hey, we're dead. We're in a better place. But the impact on the people around us, is there a responsibility there? And I would argue, yeah.
Death is far harder for people around you than it is for you.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. But if you live on with massive injuries,
that's also...
It's hard, but it's hard on you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what I would wish. I know what I'd wish for myself. And for myself, if I wrecked hard and, you get a snapshot, a glimpse into the future and say, okay, you're going to have this big wreck. You're going to wreck your bike and you're going to get a choice. I'm going to give you a choice right now. And one is you're going to die at the scene. Or number 2, you're going to live on with massive injuries, which may include, having psychotic behavior and getting killed by a liquor store clerk.
And being a burden on people
those
that
around
love you because they're going to love you and care for you, but you
I know which I'd choose right now.
Situation.
At 35 years old, I don't know what I'd choose.
Well, I can actually say my thoughts on that is the TBI, being impaired in the brain, is a lot worse than being impaired in the body. And I don't have a problem living as a quadriplegic or paraplegic as long as my brain is there. That's the one for me. If I am still there and Jim can just put me in a wheelbarrow and wheel me around.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we're gonna like staple coasters.
But yeah, but that is hard. And then again, just bringing it back around, our families have to make these decisions. Our loved ones have to make these decisions for us. It's not easy. So be as vocal as you can with those and let them know what their wishes are. Right?
Right.
So it wouldn't be a podcast without a game. And I've come up with a game.
Oh, goodness.
The death game.
Oh goodness.
This is called the dead phrase game.
Oh, God.
Now, here's how this is going to work. Rather than pitting you against each other or keeping any kind of score, I've decided you guys are going to work together as a team to try and solve the riddle. I want you all to come together. That's what this is about, right? So what I've done is I've come up with a common phrase that has the word dead in it. And I've changed all the words using synonyms. And you have to guess what the original phrase was. Okay? So I'll give you the first one. This is an easy one to help you go in. Shout it out and share your thought process, your guesses. You are all working together to get through this. Okay? So this first one, this common phrase,
Butt plug.
another way of saying it would be perished finish.
Dead last.
Dead end.
Dead end. That is correct.
I liked mine.
Dead last. No, that is good.
Okay,
Yes.
got it.
All right, this next one. Bereft of life like a portal fastener.
Like a what?
Portal fastener.
Life is but a vapor.
So remember, the word dead is in all these phrases.
Oh yeah.
Dead as a doornail.
That is it.
Oh, nice.
A portal fastener
Oh.
Oh.
is a doornail.
Oh, you're clearly very good at this, Bagel.
Okay.
Well, I'm a linguist.
All right. I think Emma, you have a good chance at this
Cunning
one.
linguist.
Just all right. All right, are you ready? Cadaverous bell clapper.
Cadaverous bell clapper.
Cadaverous bell clapper. Look at Bagel's thinking really hard too.
Dead clapper.
Dead.
Dead clapper.
Dead
Dead
ringer.
ringer.
Dead
Dead
ringer.
ringer. Nice.
Yeah,
Ding, ding, ding.
dead
Ding,
ringer.
ding, ding. There it is. Patrick, jump in anytime.
I'm still thinking here.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe
Okay.
I'm showing my age. I
He's
don't
like,
know.
dude, I'm 35 and invincible. Why am I here?
What did I get myself into?
All right. This next one. Expired loss. Now,
So expired, old,
well,
old, outdated.
one of these is dead. So,
Well, I'm
yeah. I'm just trying to help you. Okay.
thanks.
Dead.
Out.
Another word for loss.
Say it again.
Emma, no watching videos
Are you
during the
watching porn
game.
over there?
Jeez.
No, I would.
All right.
Say it again. Say it again.
Expired loss. I'll give you a clue.
Dead.
If somebody else won and you've lost, they did what to you?
Deadbeat.
There it is.
Okay. We're good.
Oh.
Okay. All right, Patrick, you have a chance with this one.
Jeez.
Let's give him a second to try and guess this one. Are you ready?
No, you're on the
Give me an
easy
team,
one.
Patrick.
Lifeless hominid pedestrian.
I got it.
Lifeless
From my prison
hominid pedestrian. Yeah.
And dead man walking.
There it is.
Well done.
All right.
Yeah.
This is one. I was doing this test on my family. No one could get this one, so we'll see. Extinct from twilight.
Extinct.
Dead sunset. Twilight. Dead vampire.
Dead of night.
There it is.
Dead of night. Well
Yeah. Okay. You guys are catching on. All right. Pushing up daisies for free.
done. Dead gift.
Dead. No.
Pushing up daisies for free.
Dead gratis. Dead gardener. Dead pansies.
Well, let me help you out. The pushing up daisies is dead. You already got that.
Yeah.
So for free. That's all you're trying to figure out. Another word for free. That would follow.
Dead
Dead.
donation. Dead
You're getting closer.
organ donor.
Come on. You're getting so close.
Dead dong. That's like
Dead giver. Dead.
Dead
donor,
giveaway.
There it is.
well done. Emma's.
I'm wondering how
getting
many
them
people
all.
were just screaming at their radio.
I'm sure they were.
Bunch of
No, they don't.
simians over here.
Liza, people don't listen to us on radio.
All right.
On the radiogram.
Tune us in.
Oh, tune us in on the radiogram.
AM 6.
I do in my car.
6090.
Oh, do you tune in on the radiogram?
All right. Passed away amendments.
dead paper, dead laws, dead changes, dead
to rights?
There it
Oh,
is.
nice
Ah,
one.
good one. All right, two more. Recently returned from not living.
Back from the dead.
There it is. All right, we got one last one. I wonder how listeners are doing so far. All right, Emma, I want you
Hello.
to try on this one.
Okay.
Fallen inanimate beauty.
Drop dead gorgeous.
There it is.
Nice. Ding-a-ling,
Ding, ding,
dong,
ding.
dong.
And that is the dead phrase game.
Okay.
I had to throw a game in here.
My.
That's big.
Or you could have dead
my,
wood.
Oh my. So, all right, the next thing I want to talk about is glorious deaths and horrible deaths. Is there such thing as a glorious death on a motorcycle? And
I live, I die, I live again.
Well, I don't know if I would describe Stu's dad's death as glorious, though he always said, if I die, I hope I die on my bike. But there are some that I think do qualify as glorious. One of them was the year we were at AMA Vintage Days. Was that the year you guys, Bagel, you were there, right?
Yep.
And everyone, I remember they were saying
I
on
think it was
loudspeaker.
2018 or 2019.
Something like
maybe?
that. A rider had gone off the track. And when they got to him, he was dead. But he didn't die from the crash. They believe he had a heart attack in the middle of the race and just passed out and
Which
went off the track.
Like we were talking, may not be that terribly uncommon. Not that it's
What did-
common,
Right.
but certainly not unheard of.
Didn't we have a group of senior riders through here a few years ago?
Yes,
One
they
of
were
them
traveling.
They were traveling, and one of them had had a heart attack going up towards
and they had to transport.
Bonnie Doon.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And I know that happened. I know Michelle had some guests at her hotel, and that had happened to one of them, and they were all like having to deal with it. I also know I won't say the name, but somebody who's been on this show, their husband, same thing, just doing errands, coming home, and found on the side of the road dead, and they think that he had a heart attack and just went off the road and fell over.
I could be totally wrong. Did one of the Dunlop brothers end up in the woods racing? Anyway, maybe not.
So that could be, I think, described as a glorious death on a motorcycle. Yes?
I don't know. Glorious.
I'm very, very hesitant to weigh in on this at all, because the truth of the matter is there's not a single person alive who is able to say what is going on in your mind when you die.
True, but I'm using my own personal wish.
And,
like
you
if
know,
I'm to
we-
die on my bike, that seems like a glorious way to go. I hope.
I mean, yeah,
You
I
know?
don't.
For me,
to,
that's
to
my-
me. I not having had a heart attack or anything, but it's like it doesn't seem like it's very glorious or enjoyable in any way, shape, or form.
Death usually isn't.
Well, but I don't. Glorious maybe isn't the best term here, but okay, at least maybe that person, they were doing something they loved when that time came.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say we established at the beginning. It's different for everybody.
Oh,
this
sure.
is my words that I am using,
Right,
my opinion. But
right.
everybody has different opinions here, and there is no right or wrong answer. So I did want to share some deaths that I've known of that were, I would say, horrible. One of them, I remember years ago, this was back in Atlanta. My friend was riding her vintage bike on the freeway. And she said a couple squids on sport bikes just zoom past her, like doing like 120. Just ridiculous, right? But she pissed her off. And they got off and did one of these overpasses that goes up and over and connects to another freeway. And so they passed her. And then she's coming up this overpass because she's also doing the same exchange. And she sees a skid mark. And she sees two bikes and one rider. And the one rider is looking over the edge.
Oh man.
Yeah. They went too fast. One of them couldn't make the turn. He hit the guardrail and he flew over and dropped down. I don't know how many, 100 feet. I don't know how high that was. Landed down below and got run over by cars. That's a horrible death.
Yeah.
Glorious is a tough one. I mean, because a lot of motorcycle deaths are accidents.
Yeah.
And they just plain suck.
And you just
nothing glorious.
You just don't know. I mean, it's an awful subject. When I go, I don't want to be in massive pain.
Mm-hmm.
If I could wish for something, I wouldn't want to be in massive pain. I wouldn't want to be absolutely terrified. And it strikes me that certainly in that scenario, he would be both.
That's why.
And especially for that person, if you're flying through the air, it's like you've got some time to process, because it's like, having been in accidents myself, it's like time slows down and you see everything in very absolute focus.
Right.
And it's like, if you're flying through the air, it's like, oh, this is not going to go well.
And hard as it is for me to talk about it, if you go back to my friend, who the hell knows what was going on in his head and how aware he was of how injured you are. Mm-hmm. And that kid, when did he actually die? When he was flying through the air of shock? When he hit the pavement below? When he was hit by the first car? When he was hit by the second car? When he was hit by the third car? Mm. And even when your body is so destroyed, it's died, your brain doesn't just switch off. Mm-hmm. It kind of spools down.
Yeah.
So you may be completely aware that you are done.
Yeah.
And you just have time to process it.
And it's possible you accept it at that moment.
Well, to try and put a more positive spin on it, because I don't want to be sort of Little Miss Doom and Gloom with this, is I've spoken to so many people who have been with their father or their grandfather or their mother when they passed away. And they've said, just when they actually went, it was just such a beautiful and peaceful thing. And I think that's what I'd wish for me.
I mean, and I know that I've heard stories of this where people have been in accidents and things, and they're like, the accident happened, and I woke up on the ground. Like, their brain just stopped processing for a moment because it knew it was about to go through something so traumatic. It just I just can't process. To me would be one hope that I might have, is like, if that was happening, is like, okay, the brain maybe accepts it's time to stop. Not knowing what's on the other side, but, because there's no way you're going to be able to deal with that trauma.
So I can tell you that when I was 17, I had an accident on the freeway. And it's one of the things that I've always it's always bothered me. There was that moment that I went into a high-speed wobble that I knew I was in trouble. Everything slows down. And then that thing where your life flashes before your eyes. I was 17. My life flashed before my eyes, which, if that has never happened to you, it's like getting a check or your bill of, here's a summary of everything you've done. Boom. It's weird. And then nothing until I was looking at my toes and realized I was sliding down the freeway. But that moment that I got slammed down onto the road, and then at some point, I know I was sliding my arm because I had road rash. I was wearing a T-shirt. And then I spun around and I was sliding in my ass. So I don't have any memory of that moment. And I wasn't knocked out or anything.
Right. You just don't have it anymore.
You
probably saw it, but your brain's just nope.
It might have happened so fast. So I just want to share one more horrible death that also happened here locally. I don't know this writer, but this was years ago. Jim, up near the Summit store, I think there's a Christmas tree farm up there.
Yeah.
Well, it was another situation with a guy on a sport bike going a little too fast. And there was a van with a family, picked up a Christmas tree, pulling out of the driveway. And they pulled right in front of him. He swerved to go into the other lane to get around them as they punched the accelerator to get out of the way. And there the two met head on. and he went through the windshield into the van where there was a
God.
family in there.
Oh my God.
This is horrible for so many reasons because the family has to live with that. I do not remember if any of the family members were killed. It was tragic. It was tragic all the way around.
Yeah.
Tragic. And the only reason I tell these stories is because speed was a factor in both of these. And there were a lot of people affected by this. A lot of people affected. And that's just, I want people to remember those things. And I hope that people remember certain people they know who've died. And maybe, Emma, maybe you carry a piece of that in you. And maybe every now and then you go, maybe I'll dial it back a little bit when you're thinking of Ozzy. Does that ever come up?
I dial it back, but my memories of him are very, very different to that.
Okay.
It's never, he's never saying ratchet it back, Emma. Because that's not kind of what he was like. God, it's been such a long time.
That's why I think about some of these, even people I didn't know.
Right.
I think about that as a reminder and sometimes to just dial it back.
I know you've told me this story before, and I think it might be appropriate for you to tell it now, Liza, is the girl with the FC1 and the fishhook.
Yeah, Crystal.
Oh, yeah.
Crystal.
And Crystal was somebody who I did not know personally, but it was right before I moved here, but I knew a lot of her friends. And again, it's the vampire, which is the riding community here, the vampires. Crystal had always said that she liked to ride fast, and she was on the fishhook. The fishhook here in town is a freeway exchange that is like a cloverleaf kind of thing, except it's elongated, so it has a very tight turn at one point.
It tightens up at the end.
Radius.
That's a decrease. Yeah.
Yeah, decreased radius. So apparently she was on that, carrying a little bit of speed. She high-sided and got thrown into a signpost, like a 4x4 signpost. And the first person to stop was a young woman who was a college student here at UC Santa Cruz, who held Crystal in her arms while she died. Crystal's friends and family, her mother and stepfather rode, they were all very, very affected. And gosh, she was young, early 20s, I believe. The young woman who stopped and held her while she died, the father of that young woman wrote a letter to Crystal's mom to let her know that his daughter had been taking lessons, learning to ride to get her motorcycle license. And after that incident happened, she decided riding wasn't for her, and the father was grateful that she came to that decision because he didn't want her out there riding a motorcycle, taking that risk, because he feared for her life and wanted Crystal's mom to know that her end of life changed the path that this young woman was on. And she affected a lot of people. And I have a photo of her up in the garage, and I tell her story every now and then because I want people to remember. Because I moved here as this community was crushed, because she was a very vibrant, beautiful person. They were all feeling the loss. And ironically, Jake was a recipient of her boots.
Yeah, I still have them in my shop, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her stuff was given out to people and
Well, and I've heard you tell that story a couple of times, and I think the reason you tell it is always the same, is it's not just about you.
yes.
You know, your actions have huge consequences on the people around you. You know, I mean, some of us have kids, some don't. But, you know, for those of us that have kids, you can't imagine losing a child. So, you know, just it's a good reminder. I mean, we all take that risk, and I think all of our families and friends know that we would live no other way. But every now and then, back to your thing, I do dial it back every now and then, because it's easy for us to become complacent. I've noticed recently in some road trips I've done where you just you get a little more risky and a little more risky. And before you know it, you're going a little too aggressive or what have you. But there's times where I think about my family and friends, and I do reel it back a wee bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking of our ride back from Alice's restaurant, Jim. Oh, God.
Yeah, I've been doing some of that lately. Well, some bikes just beg to be ridden fast. What are you going to do? The Gixxer
God.
just... I
Yeah,
was coming back
I
from
know.
Los Alamos Friday, and it was like, oh, my God.
But I think I think the motorcycling community, certainly around here, is so tight. And, we rely on each other so much. And my one fear with the Misfits is a death of one of us, of the core group. And we don't need to know the names who they are. I think would affect us all far more than we realize. I think it really
for
would.
Sure. And I think we also at the same time would understand that person, the dead person didn't have a problem dying on their bike. But something Liza told me a while back was share with your friends and family that do not ride motorcycles, that if you die on your bike, you're cool with that.
Yeah.
You're going to be sad, but don't be that sad. So if I had to go out, that's how I would like to go. Whether or not it's the truth, but at least comfort your family and friends with that.
Yeah. So I got one final question for the group. And this is a simple question. Have you ever had that feeling that you shouldn't ride that day? And do you listen to that feeling?
Yeah.
I'll yeah, so I've had that feeling going on for a couple years, actually. So that's part of the reason I started investing in more gear, specifically. And I actually had an accident about 2 months ago, month and a half, 2 months ago. That morning, I had that feeling in the back of my head the entire time. Like, I should not be riding right now. It was wet. It was rainy.
So you went down on 17?
I went down on the 17.
Which is probably one of the scariest, not the scary, but it's definitely a scary road to go down.
Right.
I mean,
right.
there's trees, guardrails, curves, and
yeah,
concrete
it's like
barriers. That's all you
that
got.
feeling was in the back of my head. I mean, it had been going on for years, but I still rode, still did it. Now I've had an accident. That feeling's not in the back of my head right now, even though I recently had an accident.
Oh, that's
Because
interesting.
it's almost like, oh, you got it out of my system. Maybe I got a couple more years now.
How funny, because usually you get kind of the opposite reaction where it's like you're cool, have an accident, then people get spooked for a little while. So it's cool to hear the opposite.
And I think it's, because it's like I was expecting to be spooked, and I'm surprisingly not. And I think partially because, like, okay, the gear did exactly what it's supposed to do. Hopefully that doesn't mean I get into the complacency of thinking that you can just keep going that fast.
I'm curious because I ride that road daily. Where did you crash? Like, what happened?
I was coming out of Big Moody's turn.
Yeah,
so,
Big Moody curve.
Yeah, as you come out, you're starting to go uphill a little bit, and
So
then you
you were
have
heading-
you have that left. I was heading north. Yeah,
Yeah, I got you.
And that's where the water comes across the road too.
Yeah, and so as best I can tell, it's my front tire. It hit one of those big painted arrows in the middle of the lane, and I just lost traction.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
How far did you slide, and what did you end up into?
I think I estimated it was low side, went down. I estimated about 200 feet of sliding down the highway.
Wow.
This way 17's no joke.
And it's like I came to a dead stop in the right hand lane, and because of my gear had worked so well, I was able to actually get up. And had I not done that, I had about maybe 30 seconds before here come trucks and cars at 4 a.m.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
And they
in the
just
dark.
barely missed hitting the bike multiple times because it was stuck because the chain got jammed up into it. So it was just stuck in the lane.
Oh, man.
Oh man.
So yeah, I was just sitting off the side of the highway. I jumped over the concrete wall like I ain't standing in this shit.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I surprisingly enough, I never have days like, I shouldn't be riding the bike. But I found myself in situations while I've been on a ride, and I've been, like on 85 or 87 or something, or even 101, I'm like, the way this freeway is right now and the way the traffic's moving,
Yep.
I need to get off this
I've
right
had those
now.
feelings too. Yeah.
Yep.
Right now. It's just the way things are moving on the freeway, and you get this real feeling of dread. It's
And
all.
just
What was
the
that
way
film?
people are behaving.
Final Destination, and there's a lot of traffic, and it's moving in a certain way, and it's moving very, very quickly. And you realize if you just introduce one element, it would be a very, very bad situation.
I think it's tricky because I know that feeling, and Jim, I bet you do too. If you're commuting into the Bay on a regular basis, like especially rush hour traffic, it's like, oh, this is bad. But it's like, okay, it's time to back off a lot.
See, for me,
and consider how I'm going to split lanes or just not split lanes for a while, just to putt through this thing.
For me, that feeling isn't while I'm riding; it's the morning of. Mm-hmm. There are times, Jim, where do you recall me ever saying that to you? Mm-hmm. I'm not feeling it today.
Yeah, usually you want me to lead, that kind of
and
thing.
So that is something that's really nice. There are times I'm like,
and all that.
I'm not feeling it today. Why don't you lead? I'm just going to follow and take it easy because something doesn't feel right. And it's really nice to be able to have somebody to follow and let them take that lead when you have that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No,
and that's important to listen to, because if your head's not in it, you're not going to be operating that bike at optimum efficiency. Where your reaction times are going to be slow. You're not going to be as attentive. You're not going to see the things that are coming that could endanger you. So when you're feeling that it's not, it's a time where you don't feel like you're in the right place to be riding, I think it's important to listen to that. And when I'm feeling that way, I do listen to it, and I don't go for a ride.
Right.
And like you said too, like there are times when you're on the road where you get just the sense that there's danger around you and you need to get out of it. But that reminds me also of the time, you remember, Liza, when we were riding back on Highway 80 and that car pulled out in front of me when we were lane splitting.
Yeah.
I for some reason, I had a sense that car was going to do exactly what it did, like a split second before it happened. And just something made me aware, like, I don't know, maybe it was something the way the car was moving and just getting over to the lane a little bit.
We were on comms too, I remember.
Yeah.
And these are little things, and a lot of people say, oh, it's sixth sense, and it's not. It's just when you've been riding for a long, long time, there's the tiniest, most indescribably small cues that give you an indication. May just be the way the wheels are on a car, or the way the driver's head's turned, or just the way the car's positioned in a lane. And it's imperceptible to a lot of people, but when you've been slugging it out there for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, you're like, that car's going to pull out in front of me.
Well,
bingo.
I'm just going to say, I'm not a superstitious person. I'm not a religious person. But the one thing I do lean towards is, if I have that feeling that something's not right, don't ride or change something. That's the one thing I'm like, I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know. I don't know if it is my grandmother trying to send me a message. Like, I don't know, but I don't question it. I trust it. And the message I want everyone to hear is, trust that. It's okay to say, I'm not feeling that today. It's okay.
Or it's like full-on ancient survival reflex shit, dude. Your gut instinct keeps your ass alive, and you don't need to understand why.
And a slightly more pragmatic thing, if you feel like crap, if you've got a cold or the flu,
sure.
take the friggin' Prius or whatever else shitbox you're driving.
That's good
because
advice.
You need all your faculties, especially if you're a spirited rider. You need to be in good shape to ride it.
Funny, we talk about street riding all the time, where I've encountered this a number of times, and because I am superstitious, right? Not crazy, but I am. And it's in the backwoods, like in the backcountry. I'll be riding somewhere, and I'll get to a certain place. Sometimes it's animals, sometimes it's people, where I get wicked spooked. There was
There might be a cave.
Abandoned mines and that kind of stuff. But it's real. Like sometimes I end up in a meadow, and it's like, oh, it's the most beautiful thing, like a John Muir kind of described meadow with grass and trees. And then you're like, I feel like there's a bear watching me right now, or a mountain lion up in a tree right above me. And it's usually me just getting myself excited, I think, but it does happen, right? No matter where you're at. So just to your point, listen to that. It's real.
Exactly. So there you go. That is the death episode. I feel
Well,
good. I think that we shared a lot of things.
Well, I got through it, which
got through it.
surprised me.
But you know what? I feel like this might be a two-parter. Because there's a whole nother side of this that we didn't discuss. So I think, Emma, for the next time, one of the things I had was what causes the death of a bike. Because the death of a bike is a whole nother thing. Patrick, have you been the cause of the death of a bike?
Not yet.
I haven't. Jim, have you?
I got some stuff on life support.
But resurrected so far.
Cryo, what's that when they freeze it?
Emma?
Yeah, well, it's like, I got a bike like that now too.
Many times, but peripherally, because I'm in that profession where I'm the one who says it's the end.
Like a horse, sometimes you got
time of death.
Put it down.
So
You're the coroner.
I want to talk about that. I mean, what causes the death of a bike? You think about how many of a certain model of bike, SV650, have been made, and where did they all go? How do they come to their death? Have you been responsible for the death? I believe the death can be either from being totaled from an accident and going off to the junkyard, or people who love it so much they let it rot in their yard till it's not worth resurrecting.
Or they bury themselves and rot right alongside it.
And there's that. Then we didn't even get into the whole funeral. People bury themselves with their bikes. There's so much to this. I think this might be a two-parter. So we're going to save all that because we do have some emails to catch up on.
Okay.
Bagel, you have a couple there, yes?
Yes.
Get them queued up. And I have one here. This is from our friend Clunan. Clunan is one of the old misfits from back in the day here at the garage. He's a nut job. Hey, Clunan. He says, hey, all misfits. Hope you had fun at the one show. Sorry I didn't get a night banana. I had to work way up in what is usually called cold North Idaho. But I have a story. I'd like Bagel to read it in an Idaho cowboy accent, please. Well, Bagel's not getting this one because he's got another accent he has to work on. A couple of days ago, I took a walk in the wonderful early spring 85-degree day that it was when I came across a dude who looked road-ridden and said he needed help getting his old Shadow VLX 600 off his truck ramp. I jumped in, and when we got it done, I then kept walking to my friend's house with a beer in hand down the alley. He then shouted at me, threw a pack of smokes at me. I threw them back at him and said, knees in the breeze, baby. Then I noticed the seat said Corbin. The seat was booty trashed, like bad. He let me ride it. It wasn't my booty, but it still held up. He told me he got it there 10 years ago. Love the podcast, dudes. If I still lived there, I'd be there every Sunday. Huge shout out to Liza for starting such a rad thing as a recycle motorcycle garage. And Emma, so jealous of not seeing them boobies.
Oh.
Love, peace, and engine grease from Clunan.
Peace and engine grease. I like that.
Isn't that funny?
I think there might be a picture of my boobies online somewhere.
Oh, no, that's a whole nother level of Patreon.
No, I mean, I think somebody took
It's
a
$100 a
picture
month
of
level.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
But they were out and enjoying the sun.
Bagel, you want to read one of yours?
Yes. This email says, Dear Misfits, I hope you're all swell. New listener of the show ever since just before I started riding my first motorcycle, 2019 Kawasaki W800. That's about a month and a half ago.
Oof.
I love the community you guys have created on the show. I sincerely hope I may leave the Swiss mountains for a vacation and visit the garage in a year or so.
Where the hell is this guy from?
Switzerland.
He just said
Schweiz?
the Swiss mountains.
Svitza.
Okay.
And
He wants to come visit the garage.
yes, in the meantime, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I was listening to podcast 518 about the mod cycles, which reminded me my brother owns a vintage beige-colored Vespa. When he bought it, she was a runner. Today, she hasn't been used since 2012, and Lord knows where it's been rotting away. Last I checked, it was simply leaking oil. His intention, clean it up and keep it as a piece of art inside his house, never to be ridden again.
Oh, death of a bike right there.
Apparently, a lot of people love to do that, be it with motorcycles or scooters. I find it is a shame in most cases. These machines have got wheels on them for a reason. Next year, I'll be restoring a 50cc Casal Conversil from 1977 with my father-in-law. He's a mechanic in Portugal.
Yeah, I was going to say Portuguese bike. That's the domestic product.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, I can convince him and my brother to get the Vespa restored too. What do you guys think? Are motorcycles, stompers, and other two-wheelers meant to be used as deco as much as they are used on the road? Are they supposed to stay inside, stuck in a cage like a bird with no fuel? I mean, wings? I'll just continue my ride as it stops pouring rain. I look forward to your reply. Take care and keep being rock stars. Cheers from a Belgian man in Switzerland, Alexis.
Aw.
I'm going to share with Alexis a very spirited conversation I had 5 years ago now, with the late Neil Jameson, God rest his soul. And we always struggled for real estate at the Jameson Museum. We always had more bikes than flooring. And a customer came in, to the museum and said, well, what you want to do is mount them on the wall. And both me and Neil talked about it and vehemently disagreed.
I think that was me.
Because we figured out once a bike was cantilevered up and bolted onto the wall, it had never come down.
Well,
And that would be the end of it.
I'm going to say, though, that's okay compared to leaving it in a yard.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's
If it's in stasis, it is not getting any worse.
True.
I mean,
And
look at
it's
that Curtis hanging up
protected from the
in
elements.
SFMC. That's worth so much money now. That was donated when it didn't really have much value, and it's been
Right.
hanging in the club, and now it's worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And it's being not maintained, but it's not getting any
preserved.
worse. Yeah,
Right.
preserved.
Yeah.
yeah.
And in that sense, yes, it's better than letting it sit outside and rot. but my thought is, a Vespa is not that hard of a bike to get
geez.
running.
Thank you.
So, it's a bike that was intended to be ridden. It's not super rare. At least I'm assuming this one's not super rare. I didn't say which model it is, but I would say fix it up, have fun with it. Use it for what it was intended for.
Yeah.
It's
Death trap.
Oh,
Like
and
every
if
other
you-
scooter.
But I was going to say, if you really want a piece of art, there are plenty of bodge jobs that came from Vietnam that look really, really pretty, and you can put one of those in your front window if you like, and look at that all day long, because that's not something that you should be riding, because it's just not safe.
Yeah, I agree. Get it on the road if you can, but if you, I know that there are like architects who want to have a Ducati in there or something. I'm okay with that. Look, Jocelyn had that, RZ350?
Yes.
That was art.
Yeah.
It was art.
Yeah, it was.
In her house.
We've known a couple of people that have done that.
I am okay with that. I have a problem with people who leave abandoned out in yards.
Well, and there's some bikes that, other than like an ARMA day or a special track day, shouldn't be ridden. If you've got a championship two-stroke race bike from, the 70s or 80s, maybe you don't just keep it on a side stand in your garage. Maybe you do put it in if you have a house big enough, it would take up my entire living room. But that's an okay thing to do.
Okay.
All right. Bagel, I stole your second email and I gave it to Jim.
Okay.
All right. What you got, Jim?
Because it requires no accent, thank goodness. Maybe a little bit of Mexicali. That's about it. Hey, Misfits. This is from Todd Burdett. Hey,
Todd.
Hey, Misfits. Love the podcast. Just left a good review on Apple Podcasts because the 1-star review you recently got is way off base.
Thank you, everyone who's done that.
He gave us 2.5.
No,
That's more than double. Thanks for being funny, informative, inclusive, very important, and generous with your time. The motorcycling world is truly better with you nut jobs, waka waka, sharing your thoughts and experiences every week. Regarding the renaming of scooters,
Yes.
how about the old Velo?
Velo.
No.
Velo.
Velo.
Oh, you could say
No.
Velo if it was Spanish. Velo.
No.
Well, before you poo-poo,
That's why I gave it to Jim.
before you poo-poo, it's the French word, parlez-vous, for bicycle,
Bicycle, yeah.
but it's also
Right, not a
Latin.
scooter.
It's Latin for speedy.
Oh,
Yeah, so it doesn't really apply to scooters either. So so anyway, that's it. But it could be great with uses like, "Hey, Bagel, how do you like your new Velo?" I think we already know the answer to that question.
No.
Hey, Emma, you look so sexy on that Lambretta Velo with a top box full of gummy dicks. I'm not sure if Emma's very impressed either.
I'm not against the idea.
On another note, I have a serious question. I can't stop looking at the new Fantic Caballero 700. It's an Italian-made scrambler with the Yamaha CP2 engine that is in the Tenere 700. Mm-hmm. It's so gorgeous, and I dearly want one, but no dealers in the USA. Any advice or warnings on trying to get a bike like this imported?
Oh, gosh, I don't think you'd ever be able to register.
Thanks for the weird and funny, Todd.
yeah.
The big problem with importing a bike to the States,
It has to be of a certain age or mileage to be able to come bring it in.
right, and California is its own thing, so we're not even going to deal with this. I mean, I remember being absolutely crushed very soon after I came here that I couldn't get a Suzuki GSX 1400 here because they were never sold here. And much as I would like one, the chance of getting one over here, when you pick a non-USA spec bike, I don't think you would ever be able to get it registered.
They haven't
here.
paid to get it cleared to pass inspection, all that stuff.
I can see why he wants one, though. This is a handsome-looking motorcycle. If you've not checked it out, the Fantic Caballero 700.
Well, you know,
great-looking scrambler.
back when I was a wee teenager, Fantic used to make the best mopeds. And a Fantic Super 6 was the moped to have. So let's have a look. Fantic Caballero 700.
45-millimeter forks, monoshock, Italian, always nice. Brembo calipers. 19 17-inch spoke wheels.
Well, aren't there enough other bikes similar here to choose from? Why do you got to choose one you can't have? Because people want what they can't have.
Exactly.
It's the forbidden fruit.
So wait
like I said,
till
it's
it's
a good-looking
25 years
bike.
old or has 10,000 miles on it, and then you might be able to.
Because what else do they have this motor in?
Oh!
Let me see, Emma.
Oh, my God.
Let me see.
Oh, that's a good look.
Oh, you know what that looks like?
Good-looking bike.
Do you see it?
Is that
Right? It's a good-looking bike.
the Chinese,
It looks like the Indian
looks like an
FTR.
SSR.
Oh, it looks even better in blue. Oh,
Okay, calm down.
That upswept exhaust
oh, God, that's
and the little racing number on it.
Right.
that's a handsome.
So-
What's the suspension?
So yeah, give up. You can't have it.
Oh, I want one now.
Because we can't have it.
You can't have it. But you know what? You know what that looks a little bit like? The 701 Svartpillen that was here
Yeah,
today.
this one's got a lot more curves to it, though.
Oh, no,
But-
it's great, isn't it?
Hey, there is a bike you can get
Emma.
that looks really different from everything else. Check out the 701 Husqvarna Svartpillen.
Yeah, cool looking bike. No, I just found, I lost it. Some dudes we ran into at, what was the last motorcycle show we were at? The Quail. They built these scramblers. Well, they just had that same CP2 motor they had taken out and looked like a race carb on it. Anyway, it looked wicked.
Yeah.
All right, Patrick, you got one there, and then Emma, you're on deck.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not even going to try this accent because I'm going to butcher the hell.
Go
out
for
of
it.
Well, where
Go
are they?
for it.
Where are they from?
It's Perth, Australia.
Oh, you got this.
Truth,
This
mate.
is
got
going to be
this.
terrible.
Go for it. Just start with "Oi, matey."
Hi, matey. Dear Misfits. I just have to tell you how much I love the podcast.
It's truth, mate.
Greatly appreciate the time and effort you all put in to help create such a wonderful,
And it's
enjoyable
gone.
show.
And it's
It's
gone.
gone. It's over.
No, it's crikey.
Crikey.
It's crikey. It's like you're bloody
I'm
there, mate.
excited for each new episode to arrive.
Are you excited?
So a huge thank you from Perth, Western Australia.
Ooh.
Blimey.
As an owner
got
of
that.
over 30 motorcycles and over 50 years, I love the banter, learning, and tips I pick up from each show.
Just the tip.
As a fellow podcaster of over 6 years, I know how much work and commitment goes into putting the show together. So once again, a huge thank you. Kindest regards, Steve Wood, All the Dirt Podcast.
All the Dirt Podcast. There you go.
Nice.
Another podcast to check out.
Honestly, it was like you were there, Patrick. It was like you were there. Bloody marvelous.
It's really easy to do Australia. You
switched
just
over.
picture a big red rock.
I'll keep
Jim's
that on my
like,
mind
"What?"
next time.
Yeah.
Best I could do is Crocodile Dundee.
All right. Emma, you got one there.
Yes, I do. This is from David.
Wait, did I give you two to read?
Yes, you did.
Then pick one.
I'm going to read the one from David.
Hey, David.
Hey, David.
And it is titled N plus 0 equals harmony, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Depends on what N is.
So, hello, Liza and Misfits. I love you all, even Nock, who is hard to love at times. Oh, I agree with that.
He can be so distant and evasive.
No, he is. He's quite aloof, really.
But that magnetism just...
It's that hairless, dark skin. I just want to rub on him.
I know. Like
Yeah.
I want to lick it. Tastes like dim sum.
God! Oh, God. I wonder what Nock...
Did I actually say that? I can't
No,
know.
I wonder what Nock-flavoured potato chips would be like.
Oh, like those dried spicy shrimp you get at the Mexican store.
Like
So-
chicharrones.
No, I
Sweaty
remember...
shrimp.
So, okay, this is probably a very unpopular opinion because I know you Americans tend to be quite possessive over your things. So when I first came over, everyone was, oh, you got to try Bugles. They're great. You got to try Bugles. You got to try Bugles. So I bought a bag of Bugles, and I was extremely disappointed because I ate my first one. I thought they taste like somebody has already been sick in the bag. And I've never had one since. That it was easily the most revolting thing. And where on earth they got that flavour from?
It's good though. That saltiness just
No,
it grows on you over time.
No, it tastes like.
But I'll never be
somebody-
able to eat them the same way again.
No, it
now.
tastes like
Thank you.
somebody has already been sick in the bag. That's what.
Anyway, get back to
Anyway.
teabag and knock.
Forgive me. So this is no. We're going to go back to David's email now. So pay attention.
Okay.
I tried like hell to buy a dirt bike to attend your rally, but it didn't happen.
Aw.
I stayed home and instead installed slides, guides, and seals.
Okay.
Because my spouse talked me out of it. So that's N plus 0 equals harmony, I suppose. I didn't have my priorities straight, but that's okay because she bribed me with a new KTM 690 when my son graduates from college. Didn't specify how old your son is now, David. So if he's like 3, you got a raw deal, darling. So I'm not a real biker now. Did I lose my bro card? Well, bro cards are overrated anyway, sweetie. On my recent trip to Talbot's, I was surprised to see a Cis Sax on display. I rode one of those for a summer, and I saw a lot of those bikes growing up, but they were all pieces of crap. I never thought I would see one in a museum. Isn't that funny? That got me thinking about other bikes I thought were just ugly, funky bikes, but now I know I wish I had one. 2 prime examples come to mind, the Jawa CZ, or as you Americans would say, the CZ, and the MZ 250. And he's sent a couple of pictures, and he's not just picked any MZ. He has picked the MZ Trophy 250, which is the prettier one.
So, look at that headlight.
Yeah, look at that beast at the bottom. Look at that.
Lovely.
Now, both of these bikes are very, very interesting. I might be high. Does anyone else think these are groovy-looking bikes? Yes, of course they are. Miss Emery's probably the only one who's ever seen these bikes in real life, and I have. Are they not funky, cool mechanical contraptions? I could totally see a hipster on one of these works of art. Do any of you know of any old unloved bikes in the past today that might be desirable? Well, truth is, David, is a lot of them. And I'm going to get, like, really controversial now.
Ooh.
Things were a lot fucking prettier a long time ago. We've embraced functionality design in such a way that when we are presented with a marginally pretty bike. I'm as pretty as that Fantic Caballero is, it's not an exceptional looking bike. It's just everything now is so designed with function in mind. It becomes outstanding.
I disagree. That Svartpillen is not designed for function. It's designed for style and performance.
It's a very odd looking bike.
Yeah, okay.
It is an odd looking bike, and that
it's
in
the
a way it
exception,
makes
not the rule.
But
Okay.
God, people don't make pretty things anymore. You know, I was getting quite nostalgic this week, and of all things, I was looking at a picture of an old English airliner, marvelous contraption called a Vickers VC-10, which was like the go-to British aeroplane from the 1960s. And I was just struck how crushingly pretty this plane was. And there's nothing that looks like it now. And that applies to a lot of things. You know, the mid-60s really and towards the early 70s were absolutely the high point of design. And there were some very, very clever people making some very, very bold design decisions now. And I think we've gotten away from that. And so we're presented with two bikes here. And the top one, Jawa in India have reintroduced a 300cc bike, a twin cylinder, which looks almost exactly like the Jawa CZ, which tells you a lot about how robust that design was. It's a great looking bike. It's very, very curvy, very Art Deco. It's a superb looking machine. Now the MZ at the bottom, these have become very, very collectible, particularly the trophy. And what was a cheap entry-level bike at the time really has become, certainly in Europe and in Germany in particular, they go absolutely crazy for these things. And they fetch hands for big money. So we have a restored example at the bottom, and it's just a 252 stroke, and not a particularly quick one. I think the best MZ 250 on the world made about 12 horsepower, maybe 15 horsepower. So it's not a high-performance bike, 4-speed transmission. There's nothing special about it. That's probably about a $10,000 bike now in that condition because it's become so culty. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether it's sad. I'm
going to agree to disagree. I think that there's some very good looking bikes coming out, but this is all a matter of preference. And your preference may be in a certain era.
And that is a very, very valid point. And the aesthetics that we grew up with are often ones that we carry through into our adult life. And you know, the cars and the bikes and the aircraft we saw flying overhead and the buildings we looked at when we were growing up and were familiar to us. You know, Birmingham was a very, very interesting town because Birmingham itself is very, very industrial. I mean, it's the industrial centre of the UK. But once you get out into the suburbs, you'd get these just glorious 1930s apartment blocks with curved glass, just really Art Deco, and they were really pushing the envelope of design. These were buildings that almost looked nautical in design. You'd get these lovely curved walls with curved glass on them and portholes, and these lovely sweeping balconies. And it really was an absolute masterpiece of design because Birmingham was a very, very wealthy city. So some of the better suburbs had these glorious buildings, and these were all the things I grew up looking at, even though I didn't actually experience them because from the lower spectrum financially.
Well, and Emma, we also have to take into account that when it comes to aesthetics, we really can't trust your opinion because you think the PC 800 is great.
Oh God, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Best looking bike ever made, mate.
Liza, you're about to get dick punched.
No, it is. Anyway, So, I mean, I could do a whole show on sort of.
You almost just did.
Well, no, he says, do you know of any old unloved bikes in the past today that might be desirable? A lot, actually.
Yeah.
But it's like I like all things. If it's got an engine, I like it. And I defy anyone to look at a Vickers VC10 and tell me it's not a gorgeous aeroplane. It's just an amazing looking thing.
Oh, when it comes to what's collectible, I mean, the dirt bike guys love old Elsinores, but a sport bike rider might just let it rust in the backyard because they don't have any attachment to it. It really just matters what aesthetically you like. And Emma, just looking around this room, from the the chopper to a Vespa to a sport bike.
Oh no, they're all lovely.
To a touring bike, there's so many different things, and that's the thing that's great. Find something that you like. But what I think is cool is to find a bike that isn't on a lot of people's radar, which may be a bike that wasn't as made it en masse.
Yes.
So just find something that you like.
And that's it. So anyway, there's a PS to this, and then there's so it's Dear Miss Emma. Here we go. I subscribe to Patreon to the Ask Miss Emma level, but I can't find the super secret email address. So I'll ask my question here.
Okay.
Maybe the secret is there is no email address. Well, there is, and he found me, but it just gives me one less Ask Miss Emma to answer, because I've got a couple. So I'm going to answer it here, David. Dear Miss Emma, this June we are travelling to Barcelona and the Azores for our 25th anniversary, and my parents' 60th anniversary. While in Barcelona, I'm considering renting a bike to ride over the Pyrenees into France or part of Cat's route and back to Barcelona. I know that you lived in Spain. I did indeed. Do you have any recommendations? Also, I'm considering a BMW 310 because it's cheap and fun. Would a 310 be an appropriate bike for the ride? So, let's address all of the things. That neck of the woods in Spain and France and Andorra is probably one of my favourite parts of the world. Doesn't matter where you go, it's all gorgeous. You're going to have a lovely time. Just be aware that when you're at that elevation, things can change very, very quickly. So you can be riding in glorious warm sunshine, and then the next minute you're in potential rain and the temperature will drop 20 degrees in a minute. Because that's what happens at altitude. I mean, the Pyrenees are just absolutely glorious.
So what I'm hearing you say is a Vespa, so you have coverage.
Right. Would a 310 be appropriate bike for the ride? I think you're going to be looking for power.
Well, you're going to be in the mountains, right?
Right. BMW 310s are fun little bikes. They handle well, and they make a reasonable amount of power. However, there's going to be two of you on it, and some luggage, and you're riding it basically above 10,000 feet. Yeah, I think you're going to need a bigger bike.
Yeah.
And
a Vespa 300.
Or a Vespa 300, because everyone expects you to go slow.
I'm serious.
On a scooter.
I'm serious. I think that would be a completely adequate.
Oh, no, you'd be looking for
a Vespa 300?
Listen, you're going to be riding mountain passes where the truck drivers, they drive these things called Scanias over there. And a Scania has got like about a 700 horsepower engine. And they go up major inclines like at 65, 70 miles an hour. So the truck drivers and the DAFs and the Scanias are just going to be running you off the road. You need something with power.
But it sounds like he likes BMW. They offer a lot of different.
Oh yeah,
bikes.
you've got the 650, the 700.
Yeah.
My personal favorite is the 900 Twin, which I think is an incredible bike. And yeah, you just put it in dynamic mode and off you go. Scare yourself silly. Good luck, David.
Well, thank you.
I'm jealous. Barcelona's a beautiful town. Walk up and down La Ramblers, but just remember, there are people who earn their living, and a mighty good living it is too, picking pockets in Barcelona. So get a money belt,
Oh, I thought you were
Get-
saying start practicing now.
Well, you can, but make sure your wife doesn't carry her purse with her, and any of your valuables, put in a belt around you. They can get in there, but just make it as hard as you can for them. It's just one of those sad facts,
All right. Well, there you go. Before we sign out, there's somebody needs to make an announcement here. Bagel, you have an announcement to make.
Yes. This weekend at the scooter rally here in town, the Oregon 100, the Top Dead Center Scooter Club inducted me as one of their newest members.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Cool logo.
Well
So I'm
done,
very-
Bagel. How many members
Thanks.
are there in this auspicious club?
I think there are about 12 to 15 members right now.
Oh, lovely.
Don't know the exact number, but it's a great group of folks. They've been together for 25 years now, and I've known a couple of them for 20 years of that actually. So
Well,
I'm really
they're very lucky to have somebody with your enthusiasm and knowledge as a member, Bagel.
And I'm glad you don't have the
Thanks.
same attitude towards clubs that I do. And that I would never join a club that would have someone like me as a member.
right. But yeah, I'm honored and very thrilled to be a part of the club now.
Awesome. Congratulations, Bagel. You've got some
Thanks.
people.
Do you have to do any sort of like pledges to get in the club? Do you have to kind of
No.
cover
there's
yourself with
Oh, you
peanut
should have
butter
to.
and let a
Yes,
horse
I think
lick it
that's
off
it.
or something? I don't know.
No, there's no pledging, no hazing, no rituals.
Well, there
It's
should
just-
be. Can you give me the telephone number of the club president?
I think we can look it up. Well, congratulations, Bagel.
Yes, well done, Bagel.
Thank you.
There you go. The death episode, part 1. I think we're going to have to do a whole nother one.
No, I think I might sit out part 2. This was actually harder. This was harder on me than I'd like to
Well,
imagine.
part 2, the death of the bike, I think is relevant because you are, like I said, you are the doctor. You've seen a lot of deaths.
Fucking coroner, I don't know.
Should we do a part 3, death and microdosing?
What?
I know. That's been popping up around me lately a lot.
Oh.
Yeah.
So-
I will tell you that it's never a decision I take lightly.
No.
When
no.
I tell somebody their bike's done.
It's another heavy conversation, and that's why I want to save that for a whole nother show. Hey, this is the time where I say thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers. I have sent out all the T-shirts, and if you haven't gotten it, you should be getting it. But if you do get it, please take a picture and share it on our Instagram or our Discord or on our Facebook. Let people see it. And if you are interested in buying a shirt, we have them for sale. Go to motorcyclesandmisfits.com. Click on shop. Now, the new design that Patrick here is
Patrick
wearing
is sporting his.
so good.
And
I will tell you, it is limited edition. And by that meaning, I just order one batch and they're gone. Right now, I have one medium and one 2XL left. Everything after that is just going to be larges and XLs.
And I tell you what, Liza, that blue is a very good colour indeed.
Yeah.
My next bike is going to be that colour.
I still have some of the evil wheelie shirts that are selling too, but same thing, limited edition. Once it's gone, it's gone. So motorcyclesandmisfits.com, find it there. And this is the way I thank all of our Patreon subscribers. I think you're one.
I am indeed.
That's how you got it. Were you surprised to see it show up?
Oh, no.
Yeah, you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So big thanks. But again, especially thanks to all of our listeners and especially the ones that send in emails. We could use some more. And also, big thanks to everyone who did leave a review on their listening device. We could still use some more because it's really helping. So, but yeah, that bad review has kind of gotten buried. Appreciate it so much.
And, before we say goodnight, it's appropriate to say it right now. As you know, I used to work for Monterey Peninsula Passports, and I still have a wholesale account with them. It's where I buy all my parts from. And they had a very, very nice young man who worked up in the parts department called Stephen Dolan. And Stephen was killed on his bike a couple of weeks ago.
Oh.
And it's really hit everyone very, very hard. The shop's really, really taken it hard. And and the biking community in Monterey, because he was a really, really good guy, and it's really affected us all. So I wanted to mention that, we're keeping you in our hearts, Stephen.
Yeah, to Stu's dad, to Teddy, to Ozzy, to Stephen, to Josiah, who
Right.
used to come here. A lot of people we didn't even mention.
Oh, God,
you
yes,
are all
Josiah.
still, being thought of.
We still carry these people in our hearts, and we still remember them as they were.
Yeah. Exactly. Hey, when I die, will you remember me in my 20s? I had awesome hair then.
I think we're just gonna stuff you and then like mount you on a motorcycle and like remote control you around the parking lot.
I was actually
Put me on the Amigo.
On the Amigo, exactly.
I was thinking of actually converting her into a table lamp. We could just
Actually-
kind of stand her in the corner and light bulb.
I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are like, I think she really wanted to be buried with the Amiga, like the final prank.
Oh,
All right. So on that note, thank you, everybody. It's time to get out of here. This is Liza.
This is Patrick. Adios.
Emma, darling.
make it Jim, son.
Bagel.
And we are out of here.
Cool.
Cool.
Cool.